So excited to announce that the registration for the Happily Family Conference is open. So if you'd like to sign up for the conference, you can go to our website at purejoyparenting.com, hop on to the blog post, and you will be able to see, we'll put a link down there for you to be able to register. Make sure to come to this conference. It's November 10th through the 14th, but you can register now. As I say, there are so many great talks. Dan Siegel is there, Christine Neff. I'm there talking about how too much connection can backfire. It is just one of my favorite conferences in the whole world that I do. Jason and Cecilia are just yummy, yum, yum, yum. And they ask such great questions. They're so vulnerable and open to a little bit of my radical shifts that I bring forth in my parenting. So make sure to go listen to that interview, because I also created a very special guidebook just for this conference on healthy separation and how to create that in your family so that you find a balance between healthy separation and healthy connection. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you there. Even though I won't see you, you'll see me, but I'll feel you there if you show up. All right, lovies, this week we are going to talk a little bit about what it is like to recognize that what you love in your children, you most likely love in yourself, and what you don't love and that you judge and dislike in your children, you don't like in yourself. Now, how that works is when we are children, there are many traits and behaviors that we got in trouble for. Let's just be honest. We got told we were rude and mean and selfish, demanding, entitled. These are some of the statements that we heard as children when we actually exhibited a certain trait or exhibited a certain behavior. Other ones were lazy, unmotivated. And when those got projected onto us, our parents saw those. And I'm not saying that we don't have that side. We have every trait. But when our parents would get very judgmental and project that onto us and harp on our not being motivated, being lazy, being entitled, what started to happen is we started to reject those parts inside of ourselves. We stopped seeing that those parts have a benefit as well as a drawback. And I'm going to give you some examples today so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. But think about that. So as you started to deny certain parts of yourself or not like them in the hopes that you would be the person that the outside gave love to, that it was very, very smart as a child. And yet what happened was you started getting one-sided. So maybe you only would exhibit motivation, or you would only exhibit that you were driven and that you would always do things because most likely you would get praise for that. You would get support for that. And yet when you exhibited the other side of the trait, which might be lazy and unmotivated, often love would be withdrawn. You might have been punished. You might have been shamed. You might have been guilted. So of course, you kind of push that side down. It's really hard to go in there and really know what was the benefit of having as we say, an equilibrated trait, that it has both sides, has the positive and the negative. So how that looks often, I'm just going to give you an example of my daughter, because I love to teach from what I've seen and what I've learned, is my daughter is what I tell her, she is a master major procrastinator. Right? She can wait to the very last minute for so many things. And for a while, it just drove me insane, of course, because I have a way that I procrastinate in a different form than her, but I try to cover it up. I try to hide it. I try to pretend like it's not there. And then I try to shame myself and guilt myself into being motivated and doing my task ahead of time. And so when I started noticing in my daughter, I thought, well, what would it be like to get curious about procrastination instead of to judge it? And so I started watching my daughter and I started asking her questions. And my daughter is so wise. She looks at me, and when I ask her about it, she goes, well, Mom, it works for me. And as long as procrastination is working in my life, I'm going to keep using it. And if it stops, I might change. So then I got even more curious because she was talking about the benefits. So I wanted to know, I wanted to be able to see how procrastination was working for my daughter. Well, I came to the conclusion, and again, this is my conclusion, but I can, check this out with my daughter, is that she is actually an efficiency expert. So her procrastination serves her in not using energy that's not actually needed. Now, I'll give you my biggest example of this. When she was getting ready to apply for college, there was a lot of pressure, especially from the schools, from all their friends, from the society. And a lot of her friends were really struggling. They were doing tutoring. A lot of them were cutting because they were so stressed out. And everybody was really freaked out about getting into college. My daughter wasn't. She just kind of did her thing, procrastinated, waited. And she procrastinated until she didn't put in her application until an hour before the deadline for all the colleges that she wanted to. She used her junior essay, which was really a good one, but she used that. She didn't write a new one. She did okay on her SAT score. She got the score that she needed to probably get into school. Same thing with her grade point average. It wasn't stellar, but it was enough. And she just put her application in. Now, we could look at that and say she was lazy, she was unmotivated, she wasn't going to get it. We could just take that apart. But it was reality. So I got very curious about it because it's not my life. And I did tell her what I thought was true, that you need to study hard, you need to, really do a good application, because that was true in my day. And I told her, but you're going to do what you're going to do, and I support you. Well, about 7 days later, my daughter happens to check her email, which she doesn't do very often. And she comes up to me and she goes, Mom, I got into every school that I applied for. And we both looked at each other, kind of with surprise. And she looks at me and she goes, it's good I didn't put too much effort into that. And I just thought, efficiency, right? Not laziness, not unmotivated. She just had some sense of how much energy she wanted to put towards something. And then she did. And then it happened. So she is getting information from her world that it's not the way that everyone has told her. She's getting information from her experience. Now, if it doesn't work for her, as she says, she will change it. And she had an experience where it didn't, where she signed up for something and it didn't work out. And immediately she tells me, oh, okay, I'm going to change that because I see that my procrastination, being efficient, didn't get me what I wanted. So you want to play with this. So I got to come back in and really start to find the benefits of my procrastination. Instead of judging it, instead of trying to get her to change, instead of, making a big deal about her procrastination and trying to push her and force her, I took the energy back in and said, okay, let me see where maybe I'm an efficiency expert. It's really cool to do this. So have fun this week. Make sure to sign up for the Happily Family Conference, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.